Oh, this thing just eats. Hello everyone, I'm Matt Beer and we are here in Bellingham, Washington for the 2022 Enduro bike field test. Now behind me, you can see some course tape that is laying out the impossible climb. Okay, now before we get started, we have to lay out the ground rules. There are no foot dabs, no stalls, and just to reiterate, all the bikes have the same pressure and tires. Okay, so now we've got all the nitty-gritty details out of the way. Let's go scope out this course behind me. Now this looks like it's really slippery, but the rock actually has some grip. It's sandstone, so it does have that grit to it. As I'm walking up the course, you can see how steep it is. I'm just climbing. Could really get on all fours and just go rock crawling mode here. The first move is a shelf, followed by this really slippery muck, and then right into a little log hop. Expert course designer Mike Levy has laid out another impossible climb for us. And these little switchbacks look fairly straightforward, but they're way tighter than the length of the bike, so I'm gonna have to be on my game. This is a relentless climb, mega steep, filled with a bunch of soft, slippery loam. It also crosses this big water rut as we're going up. Changes a bunch of different angles, and you can see green means no, green is slippery. And if I might make it up to here, there are these polished roots, followed by this banana peel log. Will any of the Enduro bikes get up this impossible climb? Who knows? Okay, so first up, we have the lightest bike in the field test. It's Transition's new Carbon Patrol, 27.5 rear wheel. Let's see how this one fares on the impossible climb. Going up, picking a relatively easy gear because this thing is so steep. Already out of the saddle, right over that banana peel. Oh. Okay, just stumbled on the log. It's just so steep and so slippery right before. It's hard to get enough speed to get up and over that thing. Okay, next on the chopping block, we've got the DV8 Claymore. That's their new high pivot 160 full 29er bike. Let's see how this one fares. Over the log, front wheel just staying in. Oh my God. Okay. This one has one of the longer wheelbases and I just didn't anticipate where both wheels were going to be as I was trying to get around that turn and hung up on one of these stupid rocks. All right, look at this thing. This is the crazy steel Contra contraption. It was the heaviest bike in the test, but it also had a ton of grip. Let's see what it does going uphill on the impossible climb. Coil shock out back. Oh, this thing just eats. This hill is just so steep, it's really hard to get any momentum to go forwards. But the bike stayed on the ground. Okay, I'm sitting on the Iron Lotus of Enduro bikes, the Commensal. Big aluminum, heavy, long bike. Let's see how that fares uphill. Oh, I can feel the weight on this thing already. But sometimes length can be good. Oh boy. Just trying to cut the switchbacks a little bit there. Look how long this thing is. Also ultra slack. There's just no way to get through here. Okay, I'm on the Purple People Eater, the Fusari LaSalle Peak Carbon, 170 front and rear. We talked about how easy this bike was to get on and ride. We also talked about how much traction it had, so let's give this a shot. Heading up. Yeah, good amount of grip, it seems. Oh yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Outside the tape. Disqualified. Yeah, it had a lot of traction, but it was just kind of sitting in the travel a little bit more and pulled my weight farther back, and the front wheel was just wandering a little more than the other bikes. Should note that all the climb switches are open. So I'm sitting on the Intense Tracer. It's a mullet bike. One thing to note about this one, there is no lockout switch on the shock. This does feel a little bit more upright, so that could be a really good climber as an enduro bike. Let's see how this goes. Through the banana peels. Oh yeah, it does have a lot of pep. Look at this thing go. This might be the one. This is the highest yet. A little bit shorter wheelbase. Yeah, just helped it negotiate those tighter turns. I just kind of ran out of juice on this really steep climb. Okay, so the Mega Tower was one of the shortest bikes in terms of reach and also sat a little bit slacker. Let's see what that does for climbing on this mega steep climb for the Mega Tower. Going up. Pretty slack. Not gonna make it. Just too slack. I don't really know if that makes a huge difference while climbing. Normally I don't find it to be a detriment. But yeah, it's just sitting a little bit farther back on this bike too.
All right, Matt, another impossible climb is in the books. You didn't quite make it up to the top. This one proved to be impossible. I feel like I would have made it, but I wasn't the one doing it this time, so I'm not gonna judge.
Can't win them all.
You can't win them all, but we're here with this very red Intense, and this is the bike that got the highest. And I'm curious as to why you think it got the highest.
Well, despite it being carbon, it's not the lightest, and it doesn't have a lockout, even on that coil shock. But I think it was a little bit shorter in the front center, so front axle to bottom bracket. I think that was easier to negotiate those tighter turns as it got to the top.
Okay, a little less body English, a little less wheel pivoting, I guess. Yeah. You could actually ride it around the corners.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, okay. What about those crazy high pivot bikes like the Contra and the DV8, especially the Contra? I mean, like, that thing is over 37 pounds. So what did that feel like up there?
Yeah, that one, you definitely felt the weight along with the Commensal. They were both long bikes. The high pivots, they just stayed on the ground a little bit more. I mean, the Contra even took some of the ground with it.
Yeah.
So it does have a lot of traction, but it's not the most manageable when you have to hop it around.
Noticeably more traction?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, especially on that wet rock and route, it really does grip the ground.
Yeah. Are you surprised that a mullet bike got the highest?
A little bit, yeah, that's a good point. The smaller rear wheel does have less footprint, less tire on the ground than a larger 29er. So yeah, I think that just kind of came down to the body position of the bike and the wheelbase being a little bit shorter.
Right. Okay, one last thing before we get out of here. I'm always surprised about how much traction these enduro bikes have. Like, I was watching you pedal up those slippery rocks and it seemed like they were just like trucking up there. And I know we have big grippy downhill tires on there, but enduro bikes aren't known for climbing, but man, like when you get them in the right place, they can just get up all sorts of stuff, can't they?
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. The shock actually works really well when it's open. And on this Intense, it didn't dive too far through the travel. Kind of noticed that on the Fazari and the Transition, they squished a little bit further into the travel, which is a good thing when you're going downhill and you want to stay stuck to the ground. But going up, yeah, we saw that in the Pemberton Impossible climb with
another really wet one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just grip.
Sticky tires are good.
Right. Okay, Matt, let's wrap this up. That's it for the Impossible climb, but stay tuned. I bet everybody out there is waiting for the last video, the Huck to Flat they had to put up with all the climbing to get to it, but that's up next and we'll see you there.